because I don't speak French.
Well,
right?
thank God you don't, or else you wouldn't be on this show.
Is that the Toxic Teacher? I heard he had a podcast. What's it called? Man with the most, gonna make the money. Goddamn, he's so funny. Toxic Teacher, can't be messed softly. He's easy to play every single fucking day.
Oh, hey, it's me, everybody. We're on episode, 14 of Camping Them Softly, hosted by me, the Toxic Teacher. I think we're at 14. I always, every time I look it up, I'm looking it up now. I always look it up and then I immediately forget where we are. And I have to go through and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We're at 14. The big 1-4. Yes. Yes. You love me. You really love me. I can't remember who said that. Wasn't that was like an Academy Award thing. But guys, we have a huge, enormous fucking episode. We have our second interview of all time with a great streamer and a person that I would actually call a friend. SwiftKick85. Everybody, I promise you are going to love this guy. I recommend you follow him. I recommend you worship the ground he walks on. He is an amazing guy, even though he's Canadian. I meant that to be a different sound. I seriously did. That was great. And it was funny, but it wasn't supposed to be that. Hang on. Even though he's Canadian. I know it. Fuck. Now we can be sad. Anyway, guys, it is SwiftKick and I had a great conversation. We talked for forever. It felt like it went by so quick. It was 2 hours, so long. I can't just have it in one episode. So you're gonna get part 1 today. And it was great. About maybe out of the 2 hours, we talked about Dead by Daylight for about 10 fucking minutes for all I know. But it was a good conversation. This guy's a survivor main. He's intelligent beyond my wildest dreams. I thought I was smart. He is smarter. He's the only smart survivor main I have ever met. And I've met a lot of fucking survivor mains. And you don't even want to get me started on 8.00, the new chapter update. Guys, before I go over that and get mad, I want to give a shout out to our listeners. You know, I love to congratulate everybody, hey, congratulations to you for downloading this podcast. But I want to give it up for the people who listen, because it means a lot to me that you guys come by. And I just want to shout out some of the people, especially the new listeners from places I've never seen or heard of. So I'm going to go down a little bitty list here. Let me see here. We've got one I've never even fucking heard of here. Are you ready for this? Twickenham. I pushed my buttons were... Oh God, there we go. Twickenham. I know. That's in Richmond upon Thames. I think it's spelled Thames, but you know how the British do it. I think it's British. Twickenham. Okay. Anyway. Thank you guys. Newark, Delaware, you are the best. You are the best listener we've got, I believe. You and Parsons, Tennessee, you guys are both great. And then we've got a couple others. Vienna, Austria. Thank you for listening. Vienna, I'm going to give it up for you here. Hang on. Let's do it. What? Yes, thank you. Thank you, Vienna. And then let's also give it up for Coventry. Yes, Brisbane, Queensland, Kennewick, Washington, Buffalo, New York, Phoenix, Arizona, Fort Worth, Texas. I know, Portland, Oregon. Yes, Liverpool. I know. Did I say Niles, Illinois? And then did I say Antwerp province, Dayern? I love it even more now that I'm coming up with this shit. Anyway, guys, thank you for the follow. It's so funny. Less than two-thirds of the listeners are from the United States. And that just shows that we're worldwide, brother. And we have penetrated Oceania. Oceania. Yes, I know. Where the fuck is Oceania? I know. Anyway, we have penetrated all continents except Africa and Antarctica. I'm going to get there. Trust me. Whenever I go to Tierra del Fuego in Argentina, the first place I'm going to go down to is Antarctica. We're going to film down there. I'm going to see if I can find somebody to interview on that continent. Anyway, guys, another exciting development. We have another arm of the Toxic Empire that is being formed as we speak. We are not just going to be podcasting. We are not just going to be streaming in YouTube. There is something coming the likes of which you have never seen before. I can't tell you everything, but I can tell you it will blow your ass. Yes, it will. I know. Yes, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be great. Thank you. I know you're excited. Also, in other news, I got my new desktop is coming. My new desktop computer is coming. I know you're excited. You're still cheering. Yes, thank you for that. It's on its way. I'll let you know. I'm going to get it all set up. I got some new podcast equipment coming. I'm like, this is legit shit right here. All right. So before we go into the SwiftKick interview, let's talk about the 8.00 update, the new update, guys. I could go over every single change. I encourage you to go to the patch notes, but I can tell you this. I'm putting up a YouTube video also with my reaction on. I'm actually doing a react video. This is going to be my first one to a patch because it is so fucking bad. It is so bad. I can't describe it. I cannot tell you how bad this... It just now did it. I can't tell you how bad this fucking patch is. Like, it is so survivor-sided. And here's how you know. If you study the DBD Twitter and the DBD online community like me, here's how you know survivor mains aren't mad. That's how you know, because they get mad at literally every tiny fucking little thing. And you know I'm right. I know I'm right. And they're not mad. That tells you that something is wrong. Usually in a compromised situation, neither side comes out happy, correct? In this side, they're not that upset. That's a problem. That shows that they've gotten every fucking thing they wanted, and we have gotten screwed yet again. And my button fucking... No, that's not the right one. We have gotten screwed yet again. Yes, say it with me. No. Clap. Yes, clap, my legions of adoring fans. Guys, they nerfed almost every single gen regression perk. It's fucking ridiculous. I demand that every killer with balls, without balls, with one ball, with four balls, with zero because I got a vagina, I don't care what genitals you have, slug and tunnel and camp, whatever you gotta do, guys, make them as miserable as fucking possible because they got what they wanted. They wanted gen speed up perks. They got it. They wanted anti-camping mechanics. They got it. They wanted anti-tunnel perks. They got it. Now they want to shut down gen defense perks. Well, guess what? They fucking got it again. And it's ridiculous. Yes. Come on, God damn it. So, I'm not gonna go into all of it. You'll see it on my YouTube. You'll see me everywhere. I'm all over Twitter. This is beyond the pale. This is beyond the pale. to the point where somebody's got to do something. I'm saying go camp and tunnel. I saw a response to an email from somebody that tried to report a killer for camping and tunneling. Behavior said it's not a bannable offense. Do it. Why not? I demand it. I'm tired and I'm in a bad mood. But anyway, guys, let's go on to happier things. Happy. We're happy, right? We have something huge coming. I can't give you all the details. Yes, that's correct. But I can tell you we're going to get to the first part of our interview with SwiftKick85. Guys, you're in for a real treat. And come back afterwards, and then we'll talk about next week. And here we go. Okay, so I am here with the SwiftKick85 of Twitch fame. I found you in a Dead by Daylight match. I think, I was killer and you were survivor. I think you kicked my ass. I would have to go back and see the actual match. I don't remember which one it was, but then I remember going into your stream and you were streaming. I was like, this guy's pretty cool. And then, invite you on and, the rest is history. So if you want to go, like, tell me a little about yourself, like, sure. How did your journey get started? Where can people find you? Kind of a little bio here.
Sure, yeah. So I suppose just very quickly, I'm Canadian, specifically not French Canadian, which I suppose is something we're going to be talking about later on. But that
is on my bullet point agenda. Actually, it has a star next to it.
Oh, good. Okay, perfect. I've kind of prepared for that. But anyway. So I suppose, I guess, yeah, so I'm Canadian, I'm from Toronto, Ontario. I actually got Dead by Daylight like way back in 2016. I was actually living in South Korea at the time as well. So I
holy shit.
Yeah, I've been around.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Awesome. Well, I'll have questions about that later.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, ask away. It's all good. But yeah, so I started playing Dead by Daylight in 2016. I got it when it was just the 3 killer mains, right? So it was just Trapper, Hillbilly, and the Wraith, right? And the four main survivors, right? So, and then I played it, and then I kind of stopped playing it. Then I picked it back up again for like another year. Then I stopped playing, and it was kind of like a back and forth, kind of like love-hate kind of thing, right? So, and then after that, and then I lived in the UK for a little while. I went to law school there, and then I came back this past August actually, and then I got right back into Dead by Daylight. And then I decided because I have to do all of what are referred to as challenges. Listen, I don't want to bore your listeners, but I'll just
I think you're thinking the same thing I am with what you're about to say.
Oh, I see. Okay. But anyway, so I came back and I had to do what are referred to as challenge exams. The short of it is that they're basically exams that you do to translate your LLB, which is what I got, which is the degree that I got, the law degree that I got from the UK, into what's referred to as a JD, which is the degree you get when you do it in Canada or in the United States, right? Because you're in the United States.
Yeah, that's a US one. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the same. Like we call it the same thing here too. So I decided, I said to myself, okay, you know what? While I'm doing the challenge exams, right? I'm working as a paralegal here. I'm a licensed paralegal in Ontario, and I do notary public. I do translations, and it gives me a little bit more flexibility to just get back into gaming a little bit, to just get away from all the crime and all of the all of the bad stuff, right?
Yeah, right.
So I was like, okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start streaming. I'm going to try it because it's just something that I was kind of wanting to do. And then I said to myself, okay, well, I already have this equipment here because I was using it when I was back in England, and I brought it back with me, and I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to try it out. And so that's what I did. I tried it out. I did a little bit of research in terms of like what it takes to be a streamer, what you need to be a streamer. And, I kind of just read the, streaming for dummies or whatever. Right. So
right.
So my style in terms of, I mean, if you want to call it a style, but the way I do things in terms of streaming is actually very, what's the word? It's very, I suppose you could say by the book, right? Like I have a regimented schedule. I play one game per stream. So everything that you would expect from like a newbie, classic kind of thinking streamer, that's what I do. So that's sort of been my approach. And then just to go back in terms of when I met you, right? So we met each other probably it had to have been 3-4 weeks ago, I think. And
I would think so. Yeah. About then.
Yeah, and I remember jumping into a match. So I was doing solo queue at the time, and I was playing as Bill, and you were playing as Oni, right? And we were playing in the Red Forest. So I think it was the we were playing the Huntress map. Not Temple of Purgation, the other one, right? So the what is it? The
what's that, suffocation pit or something?
No. It's a Mother's Mother's
I don't know all the names. Right. You're the expert here.
It's okay. I'll take that. But
I didn't know there were two. So hey, there you go.
Well, I mean, I suppose to be fair, they have different, the way behavior wanted to structure those maps is they wanted to make them into realms, and then those realms have specific maps, right? So it gets kind of confusing. So I see what you mean. Like I see where you're coming from. It's like
it does. It's like almost meaningless though, because it's like, oh, the gens are here versus over here. Like
exactly,
you know, I know they have different names, but I've never taken the chance to say which one. Like I couldn't tell you that. That's how not an expert I am. Right. I couldn't tell you which two maps and where they are. That might explain why I suck, but yeah, go ahead with your story. So you were Bill, I was Oni, and then I don't know, we fell in love or something. I don't know what happened.
Well, I mean, you said all the right things, and here I am. There you go. We're on a date right now.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, there you go.
But anyway, so what had happened was that we were in Mother's Dwelling, right? And oh wait, did that come out right? I don't know if that came out right. But anyways,
I think Mother's Dwelling. Yeah, we were in our Mother's Dwelling. Yeah.
So
that's what it is a strip club in Canada, in Toronto.
I don't think I'm not sure I visited that place, but I'm sure it has a lot of great laughs there that we can experience.
Of course it does. Yes, of course.
But anyway, so what had happened was that I was playing as Bill, and I was doing solo queue. We actually were not on a Swift. I was doing solo queue, and what had happened was that basically we were playing, and I want to be nice. This is the Canadian coming out of me, but what had happened was that
oh god,
we were
oh god, no. At least it's not the French Canadian coming out.
We were doing well. Okay, let's say that we were doing well. And so what had happened...
That's a nice way to put it. We were beating the fuck out of this guy. We were taking him to town. He looked like he had been ridden hard and put away wet.
Okay, your words, not mine. I'll leave that with you.
No, I'll say it. I'll come out and say it. That's what I do. If I win, I'll say it. If I lose, I'll say it just as much. Man.
That's fair. But I don't know. I suppose that's kind of my philosophy when it comes to playing Survivor, right? Because we have these issues with as a Survivor main, I play Survivor mains, right? So
gross.
Well, I mean, wait, look, to be fair, right? I mean, survivors, we often get I wouldn't say we get a bad rap. Sometimes it's deserved because you as a killer main, right? I'm sure you get, these teabaggers, you get, people who just...
good Lord, you don't even know.
Exactly. So for me, it's like whenever my philosophy when it comes to Dead by Daylight has always just been like, don't teabag, just leave, right? You've won, just go, right? Come to the stage, get your medal, and then just take a vacation, So
exactly. Yeah, thank you.
That's always been my philosophy, because I know that when I play as killer, right, and I'm not a very good killer. I main doctor, right? That's my killer of choice, but.
Okay, but, interesting.
Yeah, but sometimes the survivors get the better of me, and it's like, okay, fine, you guys have won, right? I just go into the map, like I don't bother going to the exit gates, right? Just so I can have 4 survivors teabagging my feet. Just like, oh come on, just go. You don't have to. This is not. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
It's the equivalent of slugging, or it's the equivalent of. I mean, not even camping. I don't even think that's an equivalent of like staying and teabagging.
Right.
It just there. I don't know that there's an equivalent other than maybe taking the map hostage or something. Even hitting him on hook is not the same. There's nothing. But you know what is interesting though? Mm-hmm. You're Canadian and you're a Survivor main. Right. Do the two kind of go hand in hand?
I'm not sure. Maybe the Canadian altruist in me gravitates more towards saving people who are dying on hook, maybe, perhaps our history
it might be that. I feel like if you were from central Canada, you would be more of a killer main.
Perhaps. Well, I mean,
like if you were from Calgary or something.
Well, you know, Alberta has their own issues, right? But I am from Toronto. Toronto, everybody likes to hate on Toronto. We're kind of like the dickheads of Canada, really. I mean, if you talk to anybody about Toronto, like they're all like, you know, they're just like, oh, really? You're from there? Oh, okay. You know, you're just some kind of dickhead. So, you know, so even though even though like I am Canadian, I'm from probably one of the meanest cities in Canada, or what we consider to be one of.
Well, it's like the New York City of Canada, right?
Oh,
like,
yeah,
would that be our nearest kind of equivalent?
That's
like
fair.
you're the
fair.
New Yorkers. You're the rough city, urban, like get out of my way types.
Exactly.
As opposed to me,
Exactly.
I'm from Oklahoma, which from what I've heard from Canadians, they say Oklahoma is the equivalent of like Saskatchewan.
Yes,
basically,
yeah,
you know, kind of the flat, boring, redneck, hillbilly, fucking gun-loving. You know, we're that type. We're the trailer park boys, basically.
Right? Yeah, you can see your dog running away for like 3 days, right? So yeah, that's how flat it is.
That kind of thing. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know you were from Oklahoma. I was trying to like figure out where you were from. I didn't want to ask you on stream because I know sometimes there's like issues of privacy or whatever. But that's interesting. That's really cool.
Yeah, no, I am from the woods. I have the redneck upbringing. Like, I'll give you a story real quick. My dad, his political bent was in 2016 when Trump ran for office. We had land in Oklahoma, and he had one of those riding lawnmowers, you know, for the big yards, the ones you ride on and mow the grass. Yeah. He mowed 100 feet tall. Like, he let the grass grow 100 feet long. He mowed the letters in our land, TRUMP.
Wow.
Mowed them in. So when planes flew over his property, all they would see was the word Trump.
Right.
100-foot tall letters. That was his grand thing. He's since passed away, but that was the kind of people I grew up with in Oklahoma, which I'm assuming, you know, it seems to be, at least from the people I know, central Canada is kind of that. You know, if we were to compare Canada to the United States, you're in the uppity, you know, you're urban, you're artsy. You're, you know, big city type, spending money on like fancy clothes and coffee with milk in it and shit like that.
That's exactly it. Yeah. So I suppose just to be as neutral as possible. So Alberta and Saskatchewan, they do lean more conservative than most of the other provinces in Canada. It's not until you get to British Columbia, where you get to like Vancouver and Victoria, where you can seriously compare those cities to places like Portland, for example, right? So Portland, Oregon, places
the hippies.
That's exactly it.
No.
That's
heaven forbid. Yeah. Take a shower. Am I right? Jesus Christ. Vancouver, give me a break. All those big ass trees out there.
I suppose I could smell them all the way from Toronto, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What it is.
Which speaking of coffee with milk in it, you're a big fan. See, I study you guys. I have studied Canada for a long time. So apparently whenever you get your coffee, you go to this special place. I believe you call it Timmy's, right?
That's right. Well, that's our affectionate name for it. We affectionately call it Timmy's, but the chain is called Tim Hortons. So Tim Hortons would be the equivalent of, let's say, like a Dunkin' Donuts, for example, right? Where I don't know if you fancy Dunkin' Donuts, but yeah.
First off, I'm American, so I don't fancy anything. British people fancy things. I like stuff. Okay. And number two, Dunkin' Donuts is a northern thing. We have some down here, but not a lot. We don't have a lot down here. Starbucks is it's the hippie thing that's penetrated. But do you guys have Starbucks up there? Is that like a thing?
Do. We do, but the reason so you'll have to correct me then, because my impression was that because Tim Hortons and Starbucks are kind of like really competitive, not competitive, but you have two kinds of people. You have people who go to Starbucks, right? And then you have people who go to Tim Hortons, right? So I suppose again to just reiterate that, you know, Tim Hortons is more like salt of the earth, working class. You know, the coffee is cheap, right? Like it's open early.
Oh, okay.
Right? It's open.
Okay.
Yeah, it's open early. So who are the type of people that go there? They're construction workers. They're law enforcement. They are people, you know, people who have to wake up early in order to go to work, as opposed to Starbucks, which opens later. But most of their traffic is where? Most of their traffic is in office buildings, people who work in government, people, you know, and Starbucks is always open from, let's say, like 9 a.m, right, when rush hour happens, right, when everyone's going to work, and then they close at what, like 7 or 8 o'clock in the evening, when everyone's usually going home, right, as opposed to Tim Hortons, where Tim Hortons are more likely to be 24 hours, right?
Yeah, right.
So,
okay,
yeah,
interesting.
So that's why I make the comparison to Dunkin' Donuts, because I guess I just assumed that that's what Dunkin' Donuts was to the Starbucks, right? The Dunkin' Donuts.
I think it is in the north. Yeah, it's kind of seen that way. Yeah, but in the south, we really don't have like a local like blue collar coffee chain. So it's Starbucks, or it's like go to the gas station and get a coffee, you know, like 7-Eleven or whatever it is up there, Trudeau's or. I don't know. Does he have his own gas station yet? Is he to that level?
You know what? I'm not entirely sure. I know that there's a brand that we have here in Canada called Trudeau's, right? But I don't know if it's connected to him in any way. Like he would be like the Trudeau name is the equivalent of like Bush or Clinton, right? Like they have like a long political history, right?
Oh,
and Trudeau is that
okay.
name
I
as well.
didn't know
Yeah,
that. I had no idea. Huh,
yeah, Trudeau is like that for us. Yeah, because his dad was a previous prime minister of ours, right? His father was prime minister.
I had no idea.
Well, there you go. So there's some Canada facts for you and your listeners.
I'm learning a lot. I'm learning. I'm learning a ton. Also, you know, I grew up. Another Canadian thing is I grew up a big fan of professional wrestling, WWF.
Oh yes,
and Canada is like one of the hotbeds, right? Like Montreal. You know, the Hart family in Calgary, where's Calgary, and then Winnipeg, like Chris Jericho and all them are from Winnipeg. Yes. So and I remember back in the day, like, you know, you had Bret the Hitman Hart, who was from Canada, and he would come in whenever he would wrestle here, he would have the Canadian flag and everybody fucking boo him, and then whenever WWF would have a show there, everybody would cheer him. He was the best thing, and they would boo the Americans. It was like the best rivalry in the most heated America Canadian thing I've known of.
One of the saddest things that we had in Canada, we have monuments built to this event when he became a heel, right? He was a heel for a little while, and we have like people had to find rivers to reflect. To have some interest to reflect on how sad that event was when he became a heel. It was really sad.
Yeah, we could be bad. Canadians can do that kind of thing. Yeah, I remember that because I liked him. Like I was like, I don't have a problem with him. But there's one really good clip. If you can find it, it's about a 5-second clip. It's Chris Jericho versus The Undertaker, and they're outside of the ring, and Chris Jericho's like hitting The Undertaker, and you hear somebody in the crowd say, "Go back to Toronto."
No.
And he turns around. He turns around and goes, "I'm from Winnipeg, you idiot." And then just keeps going with the match. It's hilarious. It's one of my favorite things. I'm from Winnipeg, you idiot. So
when we finish the interview, I'll be sure to look it up. That's absolutely amazing. Yeah, it's
our ignorance of Canada right there, you know, and his wherewithal, his forethought. Like, I wonder if being from Winnipeg, that was like an insult to him for somebody to say, "Go back to Toronto."
Probably. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Like that would actually make sense. Like that would make sense for sure. Because Well, no, but here's the thing, because because you have to remember, like, okay, I guess I'm kind of bringing the energy down a bit, but like,
no. We have lulls, just like my stream does. It'll have big lulls in energy, and then we'll pick back up at some point, but just not right now. We're taking a break.
No, I understand. But anyway, so Winnipeg is like one of those working class cities, right? So you often, a lot of, and it's very funny because a lot of people don't know this. We do have a big wrestling culture here, but not like the high school, college wrestling, right? Do you know what I mean? Like, not where you like put the circle and then you kind of just roll around and push the other person out of the ring. Like, I'm talking about like body slams and jumping off the top ropes, like that kind of backyard wrestling. It's a big thing in rural Ontario and in rural Manitoba, right? They're like, it's huge. Now, I personally never got into backyard wrestling, but the stuff that I've seen is just incredible. Like, these guys are dedicated. Like, they are dedicated. Yeah, it's wild, absolutely wild. And the kind of stuff that they come up with, like throwing each other onto tables and hitting each other with chairs, like it's probably one of the best spectacle, like the most fun spectacles I've ever seen. It's so cool.
It's wild. It's wild. I mean, Canada, it's so funny being right there in being so different, and for us to be so ignorant, because Americans are ignorant of most things. Like, we're ignorant of shit within our own country. You guys might as well be your own world at this point. Like, we know the actors. You guys send a lot of actors, and you also send a lot of terrible musicians our way. And I'm thinking specifically of Nickelback and like Justin Bieber, I believe.
Wait a second. Toxic Teacher, Canada has apologized for them on several occasions, okay?
But you've got to give us some good musician at some point. Here, look, I'm typing good musicians from Canada. And I guarantee you this is going to be a very slim list. Bryan Adams and Corey Hart.
Corey Hart, yeah. Corey Hart.
Oh, thank God. I'd wear my... You gave us Celine Dion and Drake.
Yeah, right.
Like, Drake, okay, this is not making the argument. I still have not seen a savior amongst this group. You've got some good ones. You just keep them up there to yourselves.
Well, I mean, here's the issue. The problem that we have, especially when it comes to entertainment, just generally speaking, right, is that in the early to mid to 2010s, let's say, right, we had a lot of television shows that came from Canada that went to the United States, and usually in the entertainment industry, a lot of the television shows from the United States go up to Canada because we share broadcasting networks in that period, right? So Fox, for example, was a common one that we had. But what had happened was that whenever we had a television show that moved to the United States, we simply could not say that we are from a Canadian city. So I'll give you an example. So I don't know if you've ever heard of the show Rookie Blue. Have you ever heard of that show?
Rookie Blue? No, I have not.
No. Okay, don't worry about it. The point is that Rookie Blue became incredibly successful in the United States during its run, right? It's been canceled since then, but it's had a good run. But the show takes place in Toronto. But here's the thing: if you ever get a chance to watch any episode of Rookie Blue, it's very rare and very subtle when they say that it's from Toronto. Like, they say, "Oh yeah, we're TPS," right? Which is the Toronto Police Service. That's what we call it here, Toronto Police Service. And they say we're TPS, and it's kind of like a throwaway line. And so the reason why they did that in that period is because Americans would just not. They're just like, oh, it's from Canada. Oh, who cares? And then they would just
I'm going to turn it off. Yeah, what crime is there for them to solve as police? Right. Like, what are they going to do? Like, I don't even know what you would do. Somebody stole my maple syrup or something. I don't know.
It's a common occurrence here. You'd be surprised.
Well, maple syrup is valuable, though. I saw that somebody stole a truck full of it, and it was like $1 million. Yeah, because we have different kind. We have amber and dark and all. Like, they kind of have the same names for beers, right? Like, you have amber beer, you have and so maple syrup has like light and amber and dark and all, and it's worth a lot of money if it's like super concentrated, right? Well,
But,
yeah,
but
because they put that
yeah.
big old fucking flag on the front of the bottles, and they're like $20 at the
Right.
store. Whereas the American ones have fucking. We had one called Aunt Jemima, which was just a really racist, like African American woman,
I
like
heard about that, yeah.
kind of that mammy stereotype. And you guys have like really refined looking bottles with like nice lettering and shit, and ours is like this racist stereotype. Like that's what we have. It's like $3 a bottle because it's fucking cancer in a in liquid form. It just that's the difference. You guys take your time on stuff, except for music. You take your time with it. So another TV show that wasn't afraid, I don't think was so afraid to talk about it being Canada, that I was a fan of whenever I was younger, was Kids in the Hall.
Oh, Kids in the Hall. Oh my goodness, what a blast from the past, sir. Yeah, that was a huge thing in Canada. That was filmed entirely in Toronto. Like the entire thing. Like they're from Toronto. They had their own sketch troupe in Toronto. Like it was just like they were huge in the 90s, and they put, what is it, Man on the Moon? Is that what the theme song? The theme song?
Yes.
Yeah, that's I think if I remember correctly, the band is called Man on the Moon, or something like that. Men from the Moon, something like that. I don't remember what the band. I don't know it off the top of my head. But,
let me see. I'm gonna look it up. Kids in the Hall theme. But for those of you listening who don't know what Kids in the Hall is, think of it like a Saturday Night Live if all of the cast members were A, Canadian, and B, on drugs. So that's how I would describe it. It had some of my favorite. There was one skit that I loved, and it was where one of the guys, I've got to remember, it wasn't Dave Foley. Right. It was the smaller guy. I think it was Bruce McCullough. Was a huge fan of the Doors, and he had a record store, and people would come in and ask for like Depeche Mode records, and he would basically kick them out because he was so obsessed with the Doors. And it's on YouTube. That's one of my favorite ones, because he talks about you got to play it backwards, and you've got to get in your car and drive west for until you run out of gas, and you'll experience enlightenment. And then there was another one. There was like Cabbage Head and like Chicken Lady.
Chicken Lady, yes.
Just like really.
Crush Your Head.
Yeah, the head oh my god, it was so off the wall. Like you could tell an American production company would not make this show. It just wouldn't happen. But genius.
Well, I mean, the 90s, at least in Canada, the 90s was big for, I wouldn't say big for television, but they were very experimental when it came to what it is they were showing. So like SCTV, which was more like 80s, right? Like they always had that style, because the issue with Canada is that Canada, in terms of their entertainment, didn't really have any kind of like identity. So what were they going to do, right? So all they did was take the shotgun approach. And they was like, oh look, we have four guys who just do nutty things. Let's put them on TV, and it was, and that's what it was. And I actually think, and if I remember correctly, I think that show was produced, because you said Saturday Night Live, right? I think if I remember correctly, I think that show was produced by Lorne Michaels as well. Right? Lorne Michaels is the guy who produced, same guy. So and the thing is that Lorne Michaels like pretty much backed all of that, right? Like he was the guy that he originally, as far as I remember, here's another Canada fact for you, but he originally pitched SNL to the CBC, which is our Canadian broadcasting company. That's what it's called, CBC. He originally pitched it to them, if I remember correctly, and they just laughed him out of the room, because he was just like, hey guys, I have this idea, right? I want to make a show where we get, these bright comedians, and they just make sketches, and then it'll be hosted by like a famous person, right? We'll get like a very famous actor to host the show, and then, I don't know, maybe every 45 minutes there will be like a special musical guest. What do you think? Right? And the CBC was just like, that's dumb. Get out, right? And
it sounds awful. It doesn't sound like it would work, but shit, look at it. I mean, it's amazing.
But this is the thing. He went straight to NBC, right? And the NBC was just like, okay, fine. And that was like way back in the 70s, right? So, and what happened was that the CBC has never, in my opinion, been able to recover from that, because we do have some sketch comedy shows, but they're like miles apart from each other, right? We had Royal Canadian Air Force, which was like the CBC's way of trying to compensate for losing SNL, right? We had SCTV, which was also another way that they tried to compensate for that. But they had what else? They had Kids in the Hall was the other one, right? And that was Lauren, right? So the problem was that the CBC has tried to replicate the success of SNL, and unfortunately, it just hasn't been the same thing. I think, at least in my opinion, Kids in the Hall is probably the most popular thing, in my opinion, because of course people are going to disagree with me on this, but I think Kids in the Hall is probably the most significant thing to come out of Canada, right? Royal Canadian Air Force is very contained. SCTV is very contained, but Kids in the Hall seems to. I mean, now that you're mentioning, you're from Oklahoma, right? Like, I didn't even think.
I knew what it was, and it came on American television, so like American cable, and I'm looking at a list while you were talking. I was trying to pull up a list of like Canadian shows, and I mean, some of these have gotten bigger in more recent history, like it says Schitt's Creek.
Schitt's Creek,
their Royal Canadian Air Force is up here, number 12. Like Fraggle Rock, I watched when I was very, very young. I was very little and watched that. So that's one we got here. And then like Trailer Park Boys and Degrassi would be, two of the other more recent.
Here's the thing. Well, to be fair, so Trailer Park Boys was actually the one that surprised us the most, because Trailer Park Boys was specifically about like rural, let's say hick Canada, right? Trailer parks, people, drinking, and they have no jobs. Everyone wants to scam everybody.
You're talking about Oklahoma right now. That is Oklahoma. I mean, seriously, I can relate to so much off of this show. It's ridiculous. Like, it's funny.
And that's why it was surprising for a lot of people, because a lot of us thought, I shouldn't say we, I suppose, because I guess I'm giving you
you're from Toronto, so of course you would be surprised.
Right. So it really did. And so a lot of those shows that really spoke about, the boots on the ground, salt of the earth people, right? Doesn't really resonate with people who are from Toronto. So you have shows like that. You have shows like Corner Gas. I don't know if that's on your list, but that should be on your list, actually. If it's not, it should be. Yeah. Again, so Corner Gas is another one. Yeah, it's called Corner Gas.
Corner Gas. Here we go. Comedy sitcom. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Roadside Canadian gas station in Dog River, Saskatchewan. Only that's gas station. Yeah. Okay. Brent Leroy is proprietor of the gas station. Okay, this is kind of a blue collar show. It looks like. So okay,
that's exactly it. So what I'm saying is that so now Corner Gas is another example of that, right? Where it just blew up in popularity, and it got I don't know how many seasons. It had to have been more. It's like 8 or 9 seasons, or I don't remember. It had a lot of seasons to it. Very significant, just like Trailer Park Boys, right? So it seems as though at least as far as I've seen, those type of shows that really talk about that kind of subject matter, and I suppose those kinds of people. That came out wrong, but that kind of community, right? Yeah. I don't know how else to say it. But
no.
That particular, that resonates a lot more in Canada than, let's say, something like Schitt's Creek, for example, which is a little bit more about high class. So it's kind of like the Frasier storyline, where you have somebody who is very, very intelligent, somebody who has a lot of money, very hoity-toity, but is just a complete doofus, right? Like that's the storyline of Frasier, right? So Schitt's Creek is kind of the same thing. It's kind of like two broke girls, right? It's I was rich once and now I'm not, right? And so that's kind of that is resonates more with people like me. It's supposed to resonate more with people like me, and it was more popular in like urban settings, right? People from Toronto, people from Vancouver, from bigger cities. But those shows like Trailer Park Boys, those shows like Corner Gas, those ones make more of an impact on Canadians than, in my opinion, than Schitt's Creek. Right?
Yeah, right, so, right. Yeah. And that's kind of the way it is here. Like, the trends in television will kind of go like urban shows are more popular, then rural shows become more popular. It's kind of this pendulum that goes back and forth. And then, it's just crazy. I don't know. The interplay between the two countries is amazing to me. And it's funny because Dead by Daylight is a Canadian game, right? Could we call it that?
It's French Canadian, actually. It's from Montreal.
Okay, so okay, so okay, so that's the point we were going to go to. We were going
I see.
We got to go now. We got to go now. Is that what the fuck is up with this whole French Canadian thing? You're going to be the ambassador to explain this to me, because every French Canadian, like every Canadian I've met, I've had a good interaction with. Every French Canadian I've met, and this is not talking about all of them. I'm talking about all the ones that I've come into contact with. It's been a bad experience, because all Canadians I've met have had bad experiences with French Canadians. What the fuck's going on here?
Okay, let me just quickly give you a little bit of an anecdote, because to me this describes French Canadians, I think, at least to me anyway. So I had gone to Parliament, right, in Ottawa, right, and Ottawa is very close to Quebec, the border of Quebec. You can literally just drive there in, like, I don't know, an hour or so, and get into Quebec, not to Montreal, but into Quebec. And we do tours there, right? So what had happened was that we were doing a tour of a very famous jail in Ottawa, and so you have, so whenever you do a tour of a place, I'm sure you're familiar with it, but just for your viewers, or your listeners rather, that you sign a logbook, right? You put down your name, perhaps your phone number, perhaps your email, and then what country you're from, right?
Okay,
so if you're,
right.
So if you're from the U.S., right, obviously you'll put Toxic Teacher, maybe your email, and then you would put the United States of America, right?
Right.
But I remember reading the logbook, right, and somebody had written in, this is what it is in a nutshell. They had written down their name, their phone number, their email address, and then under country they wrote Quebec.
Oh, good Lord. Oh, good
You see
Lord.
what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. It's not. So Quebec. So now let me just expand on that. So Quebec has it's its own world, right? Like I would. So how could I compare it? Like if I could relate to you in some way. Like if you go to, in the U.S., whenever I travel to from one state to another, it's like night and day. Right, like California is not the same as Texas, and it's not the same as New York State. It's not the same as Montana. Like those are completely different states with different cultures, different beliefs, different traditions, right? And so that's what Quebec is to us, right? You go into Quebec, and they have like stone roads. They have classic architecture. They have like it's French. Like it's all French, right?
Yeah, but it just seems it seems odd, because it's so, like, in America, we have different cultures, but then we still have a lot of unifying. And maybe I'm overemphasizing the difference between the two, but we all speak the same language. We all kind of it seems like there's a sense of separateness that they have.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't want to get too political, but I'll say this. So the history with Quebec is really, I mean, and you actually use the right word. They're separatists, right? They have a history of wanting to just like secede from Canada. Like it's kind of like, you often hear this from Texas from every so often, right?
That's for different reasons. They want.
I understand. No, right. No, I understand. I guess what I'm trying to say is that the mechanism is the same, right? Like Quebec has always wanted to just not be part of Canada, because, and it's for a few reasons. So politically speaking, they're completely French, right? So there's only a few cities, and they only have 2 universities that speak English. All the other universities within Quebec, you have to be able to speak French in order to go there, right?
What?
We have one law. Yeah, you have to speak French. You cannot go into the university if you don't speak French.
Holy shit!
Yeah, seriously. Yeah,
I had no idea. That's prejudice. Can't somebody file a lawsuit of some kind? You have to that's not inclusive.
Well, it's a little bit different, I suppose, because it's like if you, like, when I was living in Korea, right? In order for you to go to a Korean university, you have to speak Korean, right? Like they don't cater to English speaking people, right? So in order for you to be able to succeed in Korea, you have to have at least some semblance of the language, right? I mean, if I had to play devil's advocate a bit, but and so their philosophy is essentially the same. The reason why they do that, right, is because they take their language very seriously. It's kind of like the Irish language, for example, right? So the Irish language, exact same thing, right? They make sure that they have the language written on every one of their signs. They make sure that it's on every one of their menus, right? And so Quebec is the same thing. I remember trying to apply for McGill Law School, right? And one of the requirements is that you do your interview in French. And I was like, okay, I can't apply for this university. I can't, because I don't speak French.
Well,
right?
thank God you don't, or else you wouldn't be on the show. There's no way. If there was, are there any French survivors on Dead by Daylight? French killers?
French. Oh, well, the twins, but they're not Canadian though. They're from France. The twins are French.
Well, that's still, okay. That would explain why I don't particularly care for playing the twins. Amongst other things, amongst the bugs, that would explain why they never work right, for one thing.
Yeah, you'd think that they'd focus on the twins more, considering. But Elodie, a survivor, Elodie is also French as well. Okay. And they came out together. Elodie and twins came out together. So
okay. See, okay, interesting.
But anyway, sorry, go ahead.
I mean, so now so we're switched back. We've had our magnet fishing moment here. So it's fascinating. We'll probably go back into Canada sooner or later. But
I'm looking forward to it.
Whoa, that was a SwiftKick85. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I very much did. Left me on the edge of my seat. I hope you guys can't wait to hear part 2. I can't either. Guys, that almost made me feel better after getting so pissed about this new chapter. They've got to do something. And I'm going back to the point, and I'm going to hammer it home. They have to do something, because this is fucking silly how crazy it's getting. So guys, I hope you stick around. I hope if you are a killer main that you can stay calm. I hope if you're a survivor main that you're fucking happy, and you should probably go somewhere else, because I'm done with every single fucking one of you. Anyway, that was episode 14 of Camping Them Softly. Guys, come back next time for part 2 of SwiftKick85, the interview of the month. Yeah, I was going to say the interview of the century, but then that would be discounting Old Town South. Old Town South. See, I sound like a redneck. Old Town South. That was Old Town South. Well, fuck. Oh, God. Ugh. Okay, my soundboard didn't work again. There it is. Okay, guys, that's it. Come back next time for another edition of Camping Them Fucking Softly. Get the fuck out of my face!